Welcome back to Axis Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of Ixion Saga Dimension Transfer episode 22. Now, if you remember from last episode, we find out these new characters called Umbreons are actually working for the August Sorority, and they're man-made Hyperions. What? Yeah, I know, that was kind of a light shocker. But moving on past that, we do find out the Umbreons are actually responsible for sabotaging the relationship between Icarlet and Jungleberg. Really? Now, how did they really sabotage this little relationship? Apparently, they were the ones that put the nose hair on Jungleberg, which actually set Icarlet off. Just putting that out there, and I definitely thought that was worth mentioning. However, moving on past that, we do find out Dukakis, his subordinates, Cone, and everyone else in general are transported to Elma Flora. Yeah, literally, they just were transported out of nowhere to Elma Flora. Like, oh, this is gonna be good. Literally. But moving on past that, we do find out Elma Flora, she was the one responsible for giving Cone his Hyperion powers. At the same time, she was the one responsible for giving Dukakis his powers. Really? Okay, I can kind of see why. Okay, no I can't. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That's just... So you gave both sides powers, and you're telling them this. Why? Because you want both of them to stop the Archbishop now? And now you're giving everyone frickin' Hyperion powers? Elma Flora, what the hell? I'm sitting down, I can't even take this. So you were responsible for giving Cone his powers. Okay, I can kind of see that. But you gave Dukakis Hyperion powers at random. And yet he was part of Incognito, which was actually hired by the August Sorority to take out Icarlet, which... You see where I'm going with this? This really doesn't make any sense on why you gave him powers to begin with. And now Elma Flora wants to give everyone powers. So now Icarlet's a Hyperion, Sanglion's a Hyperion. And then Elma Flora basically tells everyone, I need you guys to take out the Archbishop. He's trying to use the Ixion technology to, take out the world and whatnot, to restart things all over again. I'm like, okay, this is kind of making sense, but you gave the bad guys Hyperion powers and now they're supposed to be good guys? What? No, to make it even more interesting, Elma Flora tells Cone and everyone else, I have some leftover weapons I saved that are in the ruins. You guys can help yourselves to them. So now everyone has their own weapons. Well, technically, Icarlet purchases all the weapons from this little candy machine that Cone points out that it needs gold coins. And I guess Icarlet and everyone else just throw all the weapons they don't need away. And Dukakis' men end up taking them, which I thought was funny. So their next mission, which I thought was kind of hilarious, they're going to be working with Dukakis, Cone, everyone else are working together, and they're actually going to be taking out the Archbishop. And again, that's where the episode ends, and I'll hold my final thought and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this episode with Varation. Yeah, apparently he's been found by a guy claimed to be sent by Dukakis, and they're actually heading out of the August Sorority sphere of influence by boat. I'm like, okay. So I guess each person, after they left Elma Flora, they went their separate ways, or they were transported in different locations. And Varation's the first character we get to see. I definitely thought that was worth mentioning, how a random guy is speaking on behalf of Dukakis saying, I'm here to bring you to him or to a location. I would have said, what's the password? Come on, there's got to be a password. You can't just walk up and say, I was sent by so-and-so. I mean, that would be so easy to lie. But hey, Varation, you're part of Incognito. Hopefully you have some brains. However, we are taken to a different scene with Varation, and he's talking about Incognito from the past. And to be honest, we know nothing about Incognito, which is a special service, the secret service per se, that actually used to work for the August Sorority. Or maybe it still does. I really still don't see where we're at right now in the anime series. To my knowledge, the Incognito group is no longer part of August Sorority, obviously since they're running away and they're working with Cone, so I'm assuming they're no longer with the August Sorority. But sorry, I digress. Again, Varation basically is talking about the Incognito from the past. So we are taken to a different cutscene with Gustav, and we're kind of in the past now, we're no longer in the present. So we're doing this little flashback per se with Gustav. And again, he's part of Incognito, but at the time that's not what they were called, and I will definitely get to that later on. But anyways, he's actually recruiting a new character. Yeah, right off the bat, Gustav, he's hiring... Not just hiring, I should say. He's recruiting a new character off the street. And apparently he's part of the Detective Bureau, which I guess that's what they're called back in the past. In the present, they're called Incognito. But in the past, Dukakis' group is called the Detective Bureau. And apparently Gustav is recruiting for Dukakis. And he's hiring this guy right off the street. And it's kind of like a Cowboy Bebop moment, I swear to God. Because this new character uses his legs, he's smooth. He reminds you of the character. Yeah, he reminds you of Spike from Cowboy Bebop just a little bit. However, moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Dukakis, and he's giving this new character a new nickname, Spot Baldness. Sorry, a little flashback there of my own. But seriously, Dukakis gives his new character a nickname called Spot Baldness. I was like, that's the best you got? How about we just call him SB, since you called one of your other characters KT, and you know, you're calling Cone DT. I mean, why not call him SB to save him the embarrassment? Because he's not bald, he's got like a freaking afro kind of going on. I didn't understand that. Spot Baldness? Sorry, I did it again. that name, just like, Spot Baldness. How about we just call him Spot? Here's Spot, here's Spot. Sorry, I digress. Moving on past that. Oh no, I can't help it. That name, Spot Baldness, is fucking hilarious. Spot Baldness. Now, I should also point out they're on their first mission right away as soon as he joins the group, thanks to Gustav introducing him, this new character called Spot Baldness, although that's not the character's real name, and I will get to that later on, ironically. They go on a mission right away, and they keep going on one mission after the next, and I thought that was definitely worth mentioning. Each mission they go to are no flaws. Each mission this detective bureau are assigned to, they have no flaws. They have a lot of missions they go on. We really don't get to see any of them. We just see like the brief little cutscenes. Basically, they solve case after case after case. Huh. Somehow, that's not the Incognito we remember in the present, because the one in the present is like a military-styled unit. The one we're seeing now in the past is like it's a detective bureau. They're like cops, pretty much. And they work for a city. This is weird. We're taken from, you know, Ixion Saga, like where we're at now, and we're thrown in like a Cowboy Bebop reality. I'm like, they're using guns, they're using like a lot of technology that you don't see in the series right now. I'm like kind of confused on where the hell we're at. But we are taken to a different scene with Spot Baldness, and he's throwing us with a little bit of information, if that's what you want to call it. Apparently he is a spy. So he joined the detective bureau as a spy. So he doesn't even work for the detective bureau technically. He's just a spy. I'm like, okay, but we don't know really who hired him, but he is like the mole per se, and he's basically infiltrated the detective bureau. So I thought this was definitely worth mentioning. We don't know if it's for money, if it's for a catch. I believe it's for money, and I believe that also was pointed out within the actual episode. He was bought out by someone, which we still don't know who, and so he's generally a gun for hire. So he's a mercenary per se, and he infiltrated the detective bureau. But no one else notices this. No one picks up. I mean, he's just a really nice guy. Spot Baldness. Again, fucked up name. He's just a nice guy all around. So we're taken to a different scene with Dukakis, and he gets a call. Or this is a random day. He gets a call on his telephone, and apparently the detective bureau has been found by the August Sorority. I'm like, does that make any sense? So the August Sorority is now funding the detective bureau. This is the big thing that Dukakis was hoping to get. Now he can go nationally. I believe that's what he said. He's going to go national and expand his business now that the August Sorority is now funding them. So this is now when they've crossed the border of being a good organization to being a fucked up organization. Because before, it was just their own little thing. You know, they were the detective bureau. Now they're being funded by the August Sorority, which means there's going to be catches, they're going to be doing dirty things. I mean, that's the August Sorority in my opinion, because it looks like they're the church. In my honest opinion, the August Sorority does appear to be like the church, and usually groups that work for a church aren't always the best. You know, there's always a catch. You know, there's like a faction within a faction, and that kind of BS in general. However, we are taken to a different scene with Spot Baldness yet again, and more information is being flung right at us with Spot Baldness. Apparently, his mission as a spy was to assassinate Dukakis. So now we start to understand why Spot Baldness actually infiltrated the detective bureau. It was not only to find out more information about the group in general, but to assassinate Dukakis, which is the leader. And it looks like he got too close to everyone in general. He's getting really personal. I mean, Leon, I believe it was Leon. He goes to Leon's wedding, or he was about to go. He was asked by Leon, you know, come to my wedding, I'm going to be getting married. I'm like, oh, he's getting really personal, really close for a new character, and this feels like a very rushed episode. And by the way, this is most definitely a filler, it feels like it. And, well, again, he's getting close to all the characters, you know, KT, Leon, everyone, but where's Verasion? There's no Verasion. I will get to that later on. But anyways, it's getting really personal, and he's given a time frame by the person that hires him. Like, he has a little side talk with this person that hired him. Like, I think it's time for you to kill Dukakis. You have 1 week. Okay, what happens if you don't kill him in 1 week? We really don't know. But apparently we're taken to a different scene, and it's the next mission for the Detectives Bureau. Now, I thought this was kind of funny. It's kind of a rescue mission they're sent on, and Dukakis goes head first in this little mission. And I definitely thought this was worth mentioning because he's never gone on a mission personally. So we see Dukakis going on this mission personally, and it's kind of a quick job. We see it looks like a bank heist gone sour. We see all these robbers inside, and again, they split off into 2 different groups, which I definitely thought that was worth mentioning. Now, we do see Spot Baldness is partnered up with Dukakis, and everyone else is outside doing their own thing. We see the sniper everything's like been perfectly set up, which is why it has me wondering. Nothing is sound, nothing is perfect the way that we see it, and we find out the truth has hit the fan. I know, the truth has hit the fan. I mean, it was kind of interesting. Apparently, at gunpoint, Dukakis asks Spot Baldness for a new name. So finally, Spot Baldness pulls out his gun, and he looks like he's about to save Dukakis because he manages to subdue one of the robbers, but he turns his gun on Dukakis, and Dukakis doesn't really ask any questions in general, but he asks Spot Baldness, we're going to need a new name now that the August Sorority has funded us. You got a good name for us? And Spot Baldness says Incognito. So Spot Baldness was the one that actually named Dukakis' new group. They went from the Detective Bureau to Incognito. Thanks to Spot Baldness, he came up with this new name. And again, Dukakis is at gunpoint, and he's about to be assassinated by his own man, which is the spy, of course, Spot Baldness. And all of a sudden, everyone comes out and says, "Surprise!" It's like, "Surprise!" I was like, what the fuck? Dukakis is like, okay guys, the jig's up. Yeah, Spot Baldness, I hired you. I put you through all this crap just to test out your freaking loyalty. So this was all a setup. Apparently Spot Baldness was never actually going to assassinate Dukakis. I mean, he had intentions to do it because it was part of his job, and he wasn't going to hold back. However, Dukakis was the one that actually hired him. He was the guy in the dark, behind the scenes. So this was all a big test for Spot Baldness to see how strong he was for this group. I'm like, okay, so apparently he's not really the bad guy. He is a real good guy. It was just Dukakis pulling all the strings, and this was a huge test, which I thought was fucking fucked up, if that makes any sense. But moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene toward the end of the episode with Verasion. Again, he's actually talking to this guy that came to get him, who's driving the boat, and apparently he says he was Spot Baldness. And the guy that's driving the boat says, yeah, that does not fucking add up because you look nothing like how you described yourself in this flashback. And I thought it was hilarious. So Spot Baldness is Verasion. I said I was going to get to it, and I thought that was one fucked up ending. But again, that's where the episode ends. As for final thoughts, there aren't any final thoughts. This was a goddamn filler. We're getting so close to the end of this series, and they throw in a fucking... Seriously? A filler? No. I mean, yes, now we understand how Incognito was created, kind of, but we don't need to know that. It's a group that we really don't fucking care. We don't care about. It's Incognito. Who cares? So final thoughts? Fuck you, Dukakis. Fuck you. Seriously. We don't care. Hey, I would have had a better time watching Cone, how he grew up in his own childhood and whatnot, versus checking this out. Hell, this could have been a funny filler with Pet and Cone. I would have loved it. But seriously, with Verasion, I didn't like this episode. I ain't gonna give this any freaking points. But again, that is it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, oh come on, I'm not gonna be nice. 3.5 out of 5. That's me being nice. I want to give this a 4, but there really were no humorous parts. You know what I'm talking about? Was there any fighting? No, it was all cutscenes, missions that we could have saw, but we didn't. I mean, it was a great setup, but it reminded you of Cowboy Bebop, and I love Cowboy Bebop, but this isn't Cowboy Bebop. Plain and simple. But moving on past that, was there any romance drama? Fuck no. Unless you count one of Dukakis' subordinates getting married type of thing, but that we don't get to see any of that. There's no closure, thank God. And there's no drama, there's no romance. But there is a little brief information that was given to us. I'll say that one more time if that didn't make sense. We were thrown with a little bit of information about the Detective Bureau, which became the Incognito group. But that's about it. So that's why I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 instead of a 3, because we were given information. But that's about it. That kind of sucks, right? But again, guys, final rating, 3.5 out of 5. And again, guys, that ends it for my walkthrough review of Ixion Saga Dimension Transfer episode 22. But definitely comment down below. Let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe. Check me out on Twitter and follow me if you like. But let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think's gonna happen in the next episode that's coming out. But again, guys, that ends it for now, and I gotta hit the bricks. I gotta go. And before I go, I gotta say it, and I always say it: you can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.